Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one that's building the business, the one that's managing a team, the one that's quietly doing things behind the scenes. I know you got goals, you got vision, you got purpose, but leadership, man, that word can feel super heavy. Welcome back to the Quiet Impact Podcast. And this is where we nurture, inspire, equip, educate, and empower introverted leaders and business owners just like you, who are making waves quietly and with impact. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. That word, leadership, it can be heavy. I know several of my clients, when they come to me, they have the vision, they have the purpose, they have the goals. But when I bring out that L word, it's not love. Leadership, it just feels heavy to them. And even though they have it in them, they aren't able to. Because it's often painted as this loud, fast, performative thing. And if you're like most of the quiet achievers I work with, you lead differently. You lead deeply. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about intentional leadership. Let's not walk away from it. And this episode was really inspired by Tim Herbert, the intentional. Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to podcast for introvert achievers just like you, seeking purpose-driven growth. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. We're not shy, timid, or needing to be fixed. We are an introvert, and that is our superpower. Introverted AFF. Absolutely fabulous and feisty. Intentional leadership. That's what we're talking about today on the podcast. You got goals, you got vision, you got purpose, but that L word, leadership, the first time, especially when you decide to step into it, can feel super heavy because let's face it, it's often painted as this loud, fast, performative, verbose thing. And if you're like most of the introverted achievers that I work with, you lead differently. You lead deeply. One of my clients has a huge compassion for the people that she serves. And she is a leader. She has all the characteristics and the capabilities. And, I look into what she's doing as I followed her and then she became a client and she's a leader. But that L word, it just got heavy because she was looking at how others did it and couldn't see how she could be a good leader. This episode is about a mirror, reflecting on how leadership at its core really isn't about serving others first. I mean, that's a part of it. That's a big part of it, but it's about you leading you with intentional self leadership. And the reason why I say intentional, first of all, Tim Hebert, he inspired this episode in his book, The Intentional Leader. And that word intentional, for me, it works for me because I am more vested. I am more powerful and more receptive when I choose to do something versus when I'm told that I have to, or I feel like I should. When I start shoulding on myself, I should be a better leader, right? All of those, yes, those all do make that leadership word very, very heavy. But choosing to be an intentional leader, that's different. Leadership starts with self-leadership. You can't outsource your own self-awareness. You can't delegate discipline. Before you manage a team, before you close a deal, before you launch the thing, you can ask yourself, have I led me? That is the kind of leadership that is rooted in. And at the end of the day, you can ask yourself, how well did I lead myself today? Intentional leadership requires a conscious choice. Intentional leaders don't drift. We decide. And the decisions might not be perfect. but are they in alignment? That is a huge, huge word for me. When I started working with one of my mentors, Stacy Hall, and ultimately being featured in her book, Selling from Your Comfort Zone, which is a global bestseller, the thing that really clicked for me was alignment because I knew I wasn't like other people. I'm not saying that I'm all of this, but I know for me, a lot of my success came and comes when I'm in complete alignment. Align with my values, align with my vision, align with my products, my services, my opportunities. Right now, I'm complete alignment with what I offer my clients, with what I offer, with my coaching, with the Introvert Achievers Network, with my affiliate opportunity with the Home Business Academy, with being a boss up coach. They may look like they're different from each other, but they're all in alignment. And that's part of leading me. Vision drives action. Part of your responsibility in intentional leadership is clarity. It's not just a gift, it's a responsibility. Because when your vision is clear, your action starts to have a place to land. When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I really want? I ask my clients that. What do you want? And what needs to change for that to happen? That's it. But it starts with that vision. Where there's no vision, people perish. Intentional leadership brings into play self awareness. You know why? Because when you're more self aware, you feel more authentic. You feel more like yourself. You don't need to become someone else to lead. You just need to become more of you. Like over the last 6 months, this has really been firing in my brain like crazy. Become more of you. Become more of me. Your calm is leadership. Your presence is power. And I've also discovered when I lead from my realness, I invite others to do the same. Let me flip that. When you lead from your realness, you invite others to do the same. Failure is a part of the process. Ugh. I know, I should be at that point where, it's a journey. And as a matter of fact, I heard Tyler Perry talking about he never had failures. I'm not at that point yet. Like he said, every failure to him was like going through a maze and you hitting a wall and you just go another direction and was where you needed to go. I'm not there yet. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting closer to it. But I'm be real, I'm not there yet. Failure still just kind of hurts, you know? And it's a part of the process. And maybe if we look at failure not as something didn't work, but from studying with Jack Canfield and being a success principles trainer, failure is the outcome that didn't work told you what didn't work. And you do another experiment and you tweak it. This just dropped in. I worked in a materials lab. I created these. It was the coolest thing ever. I know I'm geeky sometimes. Coolest thing ever. We took the powder, we put it in this huge hot oven. I had to wear this suit and like mask and everything because it was this huge furnace because it was hot enough to melt all the powder and turn it into liquid so it all mixed together, and then we pour it and get cold and break. That was part of the process, and it ended up making this paste. So I would figure out what composition needed to be together of the different dry metal mixtures to get the results that I wanted. So I go through all of that, and if it didn't work, I didn't get mad that it didn't work. It was okay, well, what do I need to tweak to get different material characteristics. There's no badge for getting it all right the first time or the 50th time. And you know what? Failure is not the opposite of success. Learning how to really lean into, and I say lean into because as you start to shift things, you start to be more aware, you start to intentionally lead yourself. It goes from being head knowledge to heart, learning how to fail forward. I had some businesses that didn't succeed, but I didn't stop. And it's not that I love failing, but it also causes us to know how to rise. Intentional leadership also looks at your habits because your habits do reflect long-term intentions. Success does not show up in fireworks. When I first started my business, I thought, I really thought when I had success that the way that I would know, I don't know, somehow fireworks would go off. That's not it. That's not it. Success shows up in the daily quiet habits. Well, I was telling one of my friends, and it was a couple of years ago. She's like, "Well, what are you going to be focused on next year?" I said, "For me, I'm going to be focused on being boring." She's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to focus on being boring." Meaning, I'm going to have the things in alignment that I'm working on. I'm going to have my projects that I'm focused on, and I'm going to do the same thing every week. She's like, "Why do you call that boring?" I say, "Hey, boring, the money isn't boring. It's and maybe we've given that a negative connotation, but there's flow. That's when it becomes uh, unconscious competence. That's the level that I am striving to be at. That's where you want to go. Quiet habits, your morning rituals, the things that you do on a daily basis to move forward, and that underlying decision where you keep going even when nobody is clapping. Like when the only person that's clapping is you, or you have to put that on your computer on a sticky note in front of you, and that's the only applause you get. That daily attention, that decision to keep going when nobody is clapping is one of the intentional daily habits that lead to your long-term success. Intentional leaders and intentional leadership. Intentional leaders create impact, not just results. That's who I want to be. I want to be impactful. Yes, the results. I have them written down. How many affiliates that would be great to have that find that my affiliate opportunity is the right one for them. I have a number in my head. The number of members that I want to be partnered up with me in the Introvert Achievers Network. I have a number in my head. The number of private consulting companies that I'm working with on a consistent basis. I have a number in my head. But the number in my head is more around what is the impact that I can be a catalyst for in those that I serve. Because the real flex, not what I built, not what I earned, but how I made people feel, how they were able to take the journey with me and transfer that into a next level growth for them. How have you led your life with meaning? How have you made people feel? See, intentional leaders don't just hit targets, they leave a trail of transformation. Phew! Which one of those? I gave you seven. Which one of those speaks to you the most? Maybe it was the reminder that habits matter. Maybe it was that truth that your leadership does not need to be loud to be effective. And leadership isn't always about being in charge. There's been times that I know my place wasn't to lead from the podium, but it was to lead from the center, to awaken, to be that spark from the center that fans out. It is about service. It is about encouraging others. And when you look at the impact, it doesn't always look like a stage. Sometimes it looks like you showing up when it's inconvenient. Remember, you are not here just to hustle. You're here to lead on purpose. If you want to lead with more intention, join other introvert achievers. Join us in the Introvert Achievers Network. We talk about more about leadership, marketing, momentum. We talk about the quiet impact method and how that can help you move forward, because we grow together and we grow deeper. Till next time, do more, be more. Above all, lead like you mean it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And head over to my website, stephanieoden.com. Get some resources. Let's stay connected. That's it for this episode of the Quiet Impact Podcast. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know any insights that you had from this episode. I would love to hear your takeaways. Remember to head to my website, grab a copy of the Success Pillars for Quiet Achievers. It's a resource I created for you. And join us next week. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. See you next time.